Hey guys, it's Adam here with RC Logger, and welcome again to my workbench. Today we are going to show you how to assemble the NovaX 350 Canopy. This is also going to include installing the GPS and the front and rear LED boards as well. For my components, I have my rear LED light board. I also have my rear LED cover. I've got my front LED light board. And I've also got my front LED cover. I've got some fasteners for it. I've also got my main canopy. I've got my upper canopy. This is my GPS unit. There's a mounting bracket. I've got aluminum shield for protecting the GPS. And I've also got some fasteners. For tooling, you're going to need a very small Phillips head screwdriver. I also have a standard number 2 driver. This is a hand driver. 5.5 mil nut driver. I've got some needle nose pliers, and I also have a 10-watt hot glue gun. And we're going to use the glue gun to secure some trace leads and secure some components in place to make sure everything stays put. So that's what you're going to need. Do not use a industrial hot glue gun for this process. You could run the risk of melting wires or damaging components. So low wattage. You're not going to use a lot of it, just in a couple key locations. Alright, well, let's get started here. So the first thing I'm going to do is attach my rear LED to the rear LED holder, and that's going to sit like so. There's a small slot on the LED holder, and there's also a small slot on the LED board itself, and you're going to use this very fine Phillips head screw. There are 2 of them that come with the delivery, so you can pick one or the other. There's also a very small, extremely small Phillips head screw. Don't use that one, use one of the 2 of the bigger size. So I'm going to install that screw, and you're probably not going to be able to see this that well because it's such a small fastener. So I'm just holding the board with the LEDs facing the clear cover, or rather opaque cover if you will, and I'm going to install that screw to hold it in place. Let's see if we can do, I might have to show you a close-up on that on screen. Okay, so I run that screw in and it kind of holds the board in place, but I also want to hit this with a little security. So I'm going to put a little dab of hot glue on the bottom corner of this just to kind of hold that board in place a little bit better. Maybe if I have any glue, there we go. Cool, cool. Out of the way here. Okay. That's what that guy looks like. Just a little dab of hot glue right there. Let's let that cool off some. Okay, so I have that installed. I'm good to go there. I can move on to my next step, which is mounting my GPS to my upper frame. And the upper canopy mount. And the upper canopy mount has 3 tabs that stick off of it. The GPS can only go one way. You're also going to make sure that the U-Blocks board is facing you. Obviously, you don't want to install this flipped around. This goes to the top. So the QC pass sticker will always go to the top of the canopy, I guess is the right way to put it. And then there are 3 of these. These are like nut on one end, threaded fastener on the other. You're going to tighten these down to hold the board in place. Don't over tighten them because you could run the risk of stripping. This can all be done by hand, just hand pressure fit. They thread right onto those stems that are sticking off. And that's it, that's secured. The next thing I want to do is I want to attach my canopy, my upper canopy portion, to my actual canopy portion. And there's a couple things that have to happen in order to do that. What I'm going to do is basically run my lead through here and hold this in place. But before I use my fasteners, I also have this little tab right here. This is important. This will actually go between, let's see if I can hold that better. This will actually go between these 2 components. There's the ring. The tab end will face upwards. So if you're holding it, the canopy inverted like I am, this is what this will look like. And this tab's just going to lay loose in here for right now. It will tighten up here in a little bit. So the next step is to secure the upper and lower portions together. I have these nylon bolts here. I will have some dimensions pop up on screen saying what exactly size they are. and I'm going to thread those in by hand. This bolt passes through that holder. These are kind of long fasteners, but that's okay. And then I'm going to use my needle nose to finish seating them. If you have a nut driver that's big enough, you can grab it as well. I guess I probably should have done that, but make sure those guys are fully seated and the canopy is secured. Oh, got to tighten the front one up a little bit more. There we go. Nice, nice. Now the canopy, the upper portion is fully seated, and that's a good thing. Now I want to go ahead and install my rear canopy holder. There is a notch and a setting here for that. The wire is going to go in. Canopy holder, there's this notch right here, and there's a notch inside. You're going to line the two notches up and pop it into place. Now on the inside, you'll see these tabs are kind of sticking out. What you want to do is kind of spread this canopy holder to grab those tabs and hold it in place like that. So the tabs of the electronic board will actually secure this holder to the inside of the canopy. And at this point, we're going to apply a little bit more hot glue to make sure it stays put. So I'm going to apply some hot glue right here. And a little bit more right here. There we go. Let's do a close-up of that so you can see exactly where I put that. Set my glue gun down here. Okay, you can see I have a small dab of glue here and a small dab of glue here to hold that in place, and that's cool. Alright, so my wire's laying loose, and that's fine also. The next thing I want to do is I want to work on installing my front LED board. I have this tab that's kind of laying loose in here still, and that's fine. For starters, what I want to do is I want to fasten my LED board to this tab. And in order to do that, there are two holes in this LED board, and I need to make sure it's facing the right way, so I want the LEDs to face away from the front of the canopy. One hole will align the LED board on the bracket. Let's see if I can show that. So there's a tab, and then there's two holes. The tab will come through the first hole, the uppermost hole, like so. And then the bottom is where you're going to run your next bigger screw. So it's just a little grub screw, it's pointed. Let's see if I can do that carefully. Hold my screw in place. Let's run that screw in. Now the board's still kind of loose in here, but here in a second it's going to tighten up. So the screw is in place. Now I can put my cover on. The cover has some tabs also. There's some tabs on the top canopy. So you're going to snap that into place, flip it over, and seat this LED board into the recess of the LED cover, the front LED cover. So now I have one small screw hole here, and that is where my little grub screw will go. And tighten that guy down. Don't over tighten it, just snug it up. Okay, so now I'm ready to begin by securing my wiring. And I'm going to pass my wiring. You'll notice on your canopy there's some little tabs that stick out, and those are nice because those are kind of going to act as guides for connecting things. Before I attach my wiring, I'm going to actually plug it in. So there's 3 different plugs on the back of this LED board, front LED board. One plug is for the rear LED, it's the lowermost plug. And I'm just going to line my pins up and install it. Let's see if I can get... Fully seated, of course. That one's in. Then we'll move on to GPS is the next one. The GPS module is also one different size plug. It only goes one way. Let's go ahead and install it. Cool. And the last top pin is the pin that's for the connector that connects the canopy itself to the NovaX. So you're not going to need to put that in right now. Now that I have my wiring plugged in, I can properly route it. And I'm going to pass my GPS wire to this side, and then I'm going to pass my rear LED wire to this side. And to get them to stay in place, I'm going to apply a little bit of hot glue. You'll see these tabs that stick out right here. They're a perfect spot to apply a little hot glue to keep them to stay put. So let's do that. Remember, when you're using hot glue, to let it dry before you let go of it. Otherwise, you can blow on it a little bit too. Otherwise, it won't harden up right, and your wire will come separated. So let's let that dry. Let's do the GPS module. Let's get him with a little hot glue. Both sides over here. And I will take a close-up picture of this when it's done so you can see the glue points also. Okay. Just trying to get my leads in a good spot to where they stay put. That's the most important part. You just don't want them laying on top of the GPS board because it could run interference for you. So, let's let that dry a quick second here. Alrighty. And I've also gotta get this wire the rest out of the way here. This wire's a little shorter. And it's okay if that wire passes between these two fasteners. It's not going to hurt anything. Actually, it helps to kind of secure it into place a little bit better. So now my wiring is glued and secured. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my aluminum shield on. Be careful you don't cut yourself on the edges. These are polished, but just be careful you don't accidentally get yourself. Then I'm going to secure this into place. There's 3 holes in it, and they line up with the 3 corresponding holes from the nylon that you've put on earlier. Now I'm going to use my nylon nuts and secure these nice and tight. But not too tight because you don't want to break them. Get my driver out. Like so. Hold my shield in place. I'm going to put a couple dabs of glue on my shield to make sure it stays put. Voila, voila. Cool, cool. And then finally, I'm going to also put some hot glue on my canopy where my canopy meets my front LED. See, there's a little gap there, so I'm going to close that gap up, and I'm going to hit it with a little hot glue on both sides there. Okay, I'm done with my hot glue gun. Just blow on it a little bit to get it nice and cool. And that completes the construction of the NovaX canopy, including installing and assembling the GPS board as well. One thing I do want to point out is it's real important. This is a ferrite ring, and you want to make sure that it doesn't get trapped between the aluminum shield and the canopy itself, and that will enable you to fully seat this aluminum plate. So just keep that in mind also. This ring is going to sit right in this location here. Okay, so now I've got all my glue secured and dried. And the last step, I want to plug my transmission cable in that goes between the flight control board of my Nova and the canopy itself. So this is the last lead you're going to plug in. And this is obviously going to fill in the last spot that's open on the LED board. Snap that bad boy into place there. I've got my Nova here. So my Canopy final attachment point, there's on the flight control board there are two receiving connectors. The larger of the two connectors is what you're going to plug this into. It won't, obviously it won't fit into the smaller of the two. So just line the pins up. I normally grab the board so you're not pushing down on the board, and seat the pins. There we go. The connector's fully seated. The canopy is completed. It's installed on my Nova, and I'm ready to go fly. Hey guys, thanks a lot for watching. If you have any questions, you can always find us at support.rclogger.com.